Hey everybody, it's James Dean with the Nowhere Special Libations Club. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be drinking through some of my favorite liqueurs, which are going to be very herbaceous, mostly bitters. Well, they're all bitters, because I'm a bitter guy. We're going to be starting off with Amaro Montenegro. There we are, a little glare. We'll throw it up anyways. This is going to be a 23% lighter Amaro. Amaros are typically Italian liqueurs. Sweet, spicy, not hot spicy, but like herbaceous spicy. This has 40 different herbs added to it. Everyone has their own secret recipes. It's kind of like gin. Everything's its own little shenanigan, but Amaros have always been one of my favorites as kind of like either a digestif or an aperitif, kind of just some big flavor profile to kind of reset your palate to try something new, or like just a nice herbaceous kind of feeling when you've had too much to eat, or because another one of my favorites is Underberg, which is sold in like these little, I think they're 120, 150 milliliters. I don't know exactly the milliliters, but super big mint flavors, kind of similar to a bit more of a balanced Fernet. But we're back to what we're actually talking about is Montenegro, their Amaro. So it's going to be relatively light in color. I like to drink my Amaros on ice because it's not really a shooter. I like to sip because the flavor profile, again, if you're into bitters, it's amazing. So you get a little bit of like cinnamon, very sweet notes, brown sugar, molasses, herbaceous, nutmeg almost, just so much herbs right on the nose. And then the flavor profile is just sweet, bracing to the degree of like just lots of different flavor profiles, a little bit of bitterness on the end, and you get that nice like little, it's not minty, but just a nice kind of cooling aspect to that flavor profile. There's something to be said about like an old Italian man sitting out there sipping Amaros. They know what they're doing. You start your day off with a cappuccino, you have a nice lunch, and you finish off at 4 o'clock sipping on some Amaro and a little bit of wine. There's worse things we could do with our lives. But yeah, this is one I've just loved over the years. I've never really played around with it too much in cocktails, just because I just love sipping. But you could do a spin on an old fashioned with this in place of some of the bitters. It would be to sweeten up a little bit. But you could also do this in place of bitters for a Manhattan. But again, I just like to drink it. Very sippable, very delicious. Cheers. All right, now we're gonna go on to one of my other favorites. This is Zwack. It's a Hungarian herbal liqueur. Comes in at 40%, 80 proof. I was introduced to Zwack years ago at my first Tales of the Cocktail down in New Orleans. They did a lot of different tasting rooms and different spirited events, and I was introduced to this, and I was never really a big fan of bitters back then. In upstate New York, pretty much what we had was Jaeger, and Jaeger's a sugar bomb of sweetness, and just kind of, I'm over it. But this is still sweet, but a much more balanced, herbaceous version of it, and this kind of blew me through the wall, and I was like, oh, this is what bitters are. This is the first bitter that really introduced me to bitters outside of like Fernet in the bartending world. But as you can see, the color is a little bit darker from the Montenegro. The nose is just big cinnamon, big sugar, big nutmeg almost, just bark. Kind of like sweet bark is kind of what you get out of this guy. Some of my customers, this is kind of what one of my favorite shots is. It's, again, it's not your Jaeger, but it's a bit more of an elevated version of it. And our little cheers is Christmas in your face hole, and it's a nice little clink. Here we go. So yeah, just big, herbaceous. All of these are going to be on the sweeter side, so if you want something drier, I'm sorry. But like a little bit of ice. This isn't meant to be slammed down. Well, we do shots of it, but it is really there, again, just as a sipper, as is something to settle your stomach after dinner. This is what I love about booze. It's the adventure of where things are at. Like I hope someday. I hope to make it to Italy to drink Amaro there. I hope to make it to Hungary to drink Zwack, and the last one I have Chartreuse. Like there's just times and a place, and if I can't be there, the idea of being able to drink a spirit from a place that kind of embodies the mindset or the culture, that's what I love about these. And you can explore the world through a liquor bottle. I know that makes me sound like a raging alcoholic, but I want to experience the world. I can't necessarily jump in a plane all the time, but the idea of drinking in other cultures and enjoying everyone, and just it's great. And Zwack is another one of my favorites. I hope you enjoy it. And when we all get back together, we'll do a shot of it at the bar. So thank you so much. Enjoy. And we're back with what is probably my favorite liqueur, spirit, booze in general. Chartreuse Green. Chartreuse is an Alpine French liqueur coming in at 55% ABV, 110 proof. It's a big boy. It's got some flavor there. 130 Alpine herbs that are only owned or only known by a few actual like Trappist monks. So this is one of the few, just kind of like Orval and a bunch of like some Belgian beers. There's only a few people that know this recipe. So it's its own. There's like history. There's this kind of beautiful secret society involved in this wonderful concoction. Something so much that I've gotten the little logo. I don't really have many logos on me. I have Johnny Cash, but like this is just such a unique, wonderful thing that. I can't help but love this. I've always enjoyed Chartreuse. I was blown through the roof 12 years ago or so when Death Proof came out, which is a Quentin Tarantino movie where he sits down. He's an owner of a bar. I've realized that a lot of my, a lot of my inspiration has come from Tarantino movies on his obsession with bars and how that's kind of rubbed off on me. But in the Texas Chili Parlor, where he'll sit down and he's like, Warren wants to buy you a round of shots. What shots we're gonna? Chartreuse. Chartreuse is the Chartreuse is the drink so good they named a color after it. And every dose Chartreuse, they're pouring out shots of Chartreuse, and like to do a shot of Chartreuse is bracing if you're never used to it. But when you get used to it, it's incredible. It's sweet. It's a viscous. It's a thicker spirit, but at 110 proof. So it's sweet, herbaceous. On the nose is so floral, bitter notes, sweet notes, ethanol, complex. Like you just imagine, like this is what you hope to open an Alpine door and see spring and see green and see all the plants and elderflower, everything that you'd want to smell is in this spirit. It's just I will sit and smell this for hours. But now on the palate, it is, again, like I said, it's viscous. It's going to be a little bit heavier, but so many herbaceous notes, sweetness just that keeps it going to carry 110 proof. Like this will knock you on your ass. Like when I was younger, this is the one expensive bottle that I'll kind of always keep around my house. Typically it was like $55-$60 a bottle, and for me it was a jump. But I would always want this in my house just because whenever you want to sip it, there's nothing like this. I've tried to find things that are close, and there are things that are close, but this Chartreuse, like the original Chartreuse, is just something beautiful to behold, and it's just yet another reason why this world and the mystery that we can make something beautiful. That this is from 1605, like 400 years almost of the same beautiful recipe, and it's there. it's delicious, and God, it makes me happy to smell this. I love this liquor. So one of my favorite things to do with this is called the Chartreuse Swizzle, which is like 1.5 ounces of Chartreuse. So it's already a big drink to begin with. A little bit of pineapple juice, and I'm missing the rest of it, but it's poured over crushed ice, and again, just herbaceous. The pineapple juice adds a little bit more sweetness to it, but very balanced. There's also a cocktail called The Last Word, which is super popular with Chartreuse. This is one of the things that you would probably never pick up off the shelf, but you should try because it's just amazing. Thank you all so much. We're hopefully going to be opening up the outside, so I got to figure out how that's going to be working with my schedules. So this might be one of the, not last, but we might have a break for a little while I figure out how to work with the reopenings. But yeah, we'll keep trying to entertain. We'll keep trying to share some drinks, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much.